the Kansas City Chiefs and like, okay, 15-2 last year, but like looked so beatable for large stretches of the season, and they just weren't losing games. I mean, we mentioned the Black Friday game against the Raiders.
And we talked about that they became the Patriots, like what the Patriots were used to be.
Yeah. And I think that just like the Super Bowl loss to the Bucks, this one to the Eagles is kind of that watershed moment where it's like, okay, our deficiencies, and again, I say this with a massive asterisk. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I keep trying to draw an asterisk with my finger here. I know that this team finished 15-2 last year. I know that they've won a shit ton of Super Bowls already, and that Patrick Mahomes is quite possibly on his way to becoming the greatest player of all time. I know all that. So when but we're talking about every team in a vacuum against themselves, right? And so I think the optimistic case is that you get back to the Super Bowl or you get close, right? Mm-hmm. If you're in the Final Four, that to me is optimistic, realistic. But with that, you have hit on some of your offensive line talent, because I think what Kansas City did was smart, right? You got Josh Simmons, but you backstop that with Jalen Moore. And all of a sudden now, even though you lose Joe Tooney, this doesn't look as crazy as it used to, right? There seems to be some sort of there.
Semblance of a plan. And I think, I know it sounds like I'm oversimplifying it, but I think the defense is going to be good. I think the defense they still have a lot of young talent on that side of the ball. I think bringing back Nick Bolton, I didn't expect it. I think it's huge that they did get him back because he's sort of the nerve center of the defense. You've got, again, we'll see with Chris Jones. Eventually, it's not going to look the same, but he's still a really great player. Guys like Karlaftis and McDuffie, do they keep getting better? You're going to have to replace Justin Reed, which is a big deal. But you have, a couple guys you drafted and guys like Cook and Conor and Hicks. So I don't know. It sounds simplistic, but I think so much of it just comes down to what happens at tackle. I think the receivers are going to be better. I think there's this vision they had for the offense last year, which was Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy stretching the defense out, and Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce running underneath. I think that could really come into focus this year. So I just I look at it so much to me depends on those two tackle positions. What does Juwan Taylor look like coming back? I think eventually the plan is to have Josh Simmons at left tackle and Jalen Moore at right tackle. That'd be my guess is what you'll see in 2026. But
right,
can you get a good year out of Juwan Taylor? Can you get anything out of Simmons coming off of a really bad injury in year one? And what does Jalen Moore look like at left tackle? I think those are the things that are going to determine how far this team goes as far as realistic expectations. I mean, when you're talking about a team that's won the AFC West, what is it, 7 years in a row now, right? 7 years in a row, at least, maybe more than that, and has won 3 straight AFC championships in 4 and 5 years. It's really difficult not to say it's Super Bowl or bust, right?
Right, and that sucks, but it's also
it's 5 and 6 years, 5 AFC titles in 6 years. Jeez, I mean, it's just mind blowing,
It sucks, but it's also okay, and Chiefs fans have a hard time hearing this and dealing with this, but and champagne problems for sure. But you have a coach who quite possibly could be, if he sticks around long enough, end up being the greatest coach in NFL history in Andy Reid, winningest coach in NFL history in Andy Reid. You have a quarterback who, if he sticks around long enough, is going to end up being the greatest player in NFL history.
He's got a ways to go, but yeah, I mean, he's the one who's got a shot at it for sure.
And so that is the standard is the standard, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just is. But
here's what I would say. I would say anything short of getting into the Final Four while Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback is a failure.
Sure.
right?
I think that's true, right?
I think it's fair because I think that's, again, if we're going to compare him to the Patriots, Tom Brady went every year to the AFC title game from, I think it was 11 to 18, right? 19 was a failure, and that was when they wound up walking away from Brady. 10 was a like sort of a retooling year where they had younger players. 09, they didn't make it that far, and they completely tore the thing down and sort of built it back up with the 2010 draft class. And then 08 was the year that they 08 was the year that they that Brady got hurt. So, you go before that, 07 they were in the title game, 06 they were in the title game, 05 they weren't. And then, I mean, it's like when you have that combination of coach and quarterback, you're not going to win the Super Bowl every year. That's unrealistic. But it is realistic to try to be in the Final Four every year. And then you see what happens from there.
I think too. I mean, you mentioned Hollywood Brown. So last year, he comes in after missing the first 14 weeks of the season. And then on December 21st, gets 8 targets in his first game. December 25th, gets 7 targets in his second game. And then didn't really see the ball at all in Houston, but 5 targets against Buffalo, and then another 6 targets in the Super Bowl. In the Super Bowl, you could throw out the window because they just ended up lobbing balls at that point.
Yeah.
And so that's not a realistic look at what this offense is going to be. But like you said, the Rashee Rice looked electric last year.
Yep.
Good enough to totally change the game for Kansas City. And so I'm willing to leave our supposed lack of confidence in this offense up for reconsideration this year. Because again, I like the signing a tackle. I like that you supplement it with a first round draft pick and hope that those two guys can bookend it. And I think that you allow some of your guys to develop. I mean, this is the whole thing. And I've complained about the Chiefs need to get more receivers for Patrick Mahomes. They need to get more receivers for Patrick Mahomes. But the truth is that like an end of career DeAndre Hopkins is never going to do nearly as much for Patrick Mahomes as growing with Rashee Rice,
right,
as growing with Travis Kelce, as growing with all these guys. So,
and Rice looked excellent.
So good.
Before he got hurt last year.
So good.
So if you can approximate that, then, I mean, now all of a sudden I'm not saying it's the replacement for Travis Kelce, but you have a guy who, at the very least, looks like he's going to be around a while, and can be one of the primary weapons for Patrick Mahomes going forward.
All you need Travis Kelce to do is clear out space.
Yep.
That's it. He can be an able-bodied space clearer, and then every now and then.
It's amazing he's lasted as long as he has. If you look at the history of that position, so many guys in that position are injury prone. The reason why is because half the plays they're blocking, half the plays they're running in the land of giants. They're running through linebackers and safeties and taking hits from those guys. There's a reason why so many tight ends are injury prone. It's because it's a really freaking brutal job. It's a tough job, And so the fact that Travis Kelce's even made it this far, and he's 35, 30, it's just unbelievable.